everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. I am Donna Stone. I'm the president of Project Bold Life, and today we have Ann Jenkins with us. Kelly is a lawyer, an athlete, a philanthropist, and a true adventurer. Ann, it's so great to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
I know, it's so exciting. We've been talking a little bit, I know, before, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more about your adventures. I would want to do some of these travels myself. But first off, I just want to say thank you for being here and being part of the everyday people living bold. So first thing first, tell me a little bit about your philosophy on life, because it does seem like you're kind of doing it all.
Yeah, for me, one of the things that's really important is lifelong learning. I believe that you really don't know what you don't know, and I think sometimes some of the best ways to learn new things is to try new experiences, travel to different places, and to really get outside of your comfort zone. I think when you challenge yourself, it broadens your perspective and it really helps you to see the world in a different way and to continue to grow. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, is just that continued lifelong learning.
I love hearing that. So we talked a little bit about Project Bold Life, and we have 7 pillars, and within those pillars, I mean, you're covering a lot of them, but experiences is one of them, and then the learning, personal development is one of them. So you're just checking off those boxes. But let's talk about the experiences, because I think it really does play a big role into your overall, like, how bold your life is and how much you're enjoying your life. And I cannot believe how many places you've been, first off. But can you talk to me about why, like, these, kind of getting out of your comfort zone or traveling and having these experiences are so important to you?
Sure. I think for me, when I first started traveling when I was about 20. I was a Spanish major in college, and I had to do a foreign study to really learn the language and embrace the culture. So I spent a summer living in Mexico, living with a family. I wasn't allowed to speak any English. Customs were completely different. We were really immersed in the culture, and that was the first time that I'd been out of the country. It was the first time I'd really been out on my own, outside of college, and just to be with people who didn't speak the language. It really forced me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and learn a lot from them. And it was in that experience when I realized that this was a culture and these were people that were so different from me, and I couldn't believe how accepting they were, and how much they were able to teach me about their values and culture, and that was just a really eye-opening experience. And from there, I've just been passionate about traveling ever since.
I was going to say, that probably opened your eyes to, okay, maybe I shouldn't be so scared, and maybe this is something that's really great for me instead of something I should be nervous about. Or yeah. So what do you tell somebody who is really busy? And I know you are, right? You have your company, and you and your husband, you're lawyers, and you have a practice. And so a lot of people would think, well, I don't have time to have these great experiences. So first off, how do you fit it in? And then what would your advice be to other people that want to get out there but are like saying, well, I don't have time?
Yeah, whenever someone tells me they don't have time, I just tell them, you make the time. To me, time is extremely important. It's one of the most valuable assets we have. If I don't have my time, I can't really do anything. So I have a few different techniques. I schedule, and I'm a big planner, so I plan everything in advance, maybe to a fault.
I do too.
My husband's the complete opposite, so he keeps me in line there. It's a balance for sure. But I always plan things really far in advance. With technology now, it's so easy that I can be traveling and working from anywhere in the world. I can review and sign documents online from my phone. I have internet access almost anywhere. So that makes it really easy to travel. The other thing for me is I do a lot of work in time management and just personal management. And by that, it's really easy to pick up the phone and start checking your email first thing in the morning. Once I do that, I'm done for the rest of the day, because you just go down that rabbit hole.
Yep.
So I have scheduled times where I check my email, and I find that alone will save me several hours a day.
That is such a great tip. I mean, I agree with you. If I start the first thing in the morning, if I have a whole bunch of things I want to get done, if I open up that email, somehow those other things never get done. It's so important. So that's a good tip for our viewers for sure.
Email and social media, it's the same thing with
Yes.
social media. That one is a big time waster.
Yeah, that's like only a nighttime thing for me. It's like, no, not going on any other time because it's just not, it doesn't work for me. So, but I love that. And so just like you said, you're a big planner and you schedule things out. So I'm assuming then you're probably a pretty big goal setter as well.
I am.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and how does it help you, whether it's in, whether it's your travels you're setting goals for or your career or just your personal life in general?
Yeah, I believe it's really important to set goals. If you don't have goals, you don't really have any direction. And while I've always had goals in my life, I've recently done some work I work with business coaches as well as with professional coaches, and the one thing they really recommend that I found extremely helpful is to write down your goals, because if it's not written down, you probably won't follow up on it. And I have weekly goals, daily goals, yearly goals, however they shake out, and
Yep.
I always follow up and see, am I doing those things and moving in that direction?
Right, I think that's so important. So one of the other pillars that we talk about a lot at Project Bold Life is community or philanthropy, giving back. And I noticed that you, with your company, you do a lot. Again, how do you fit that in and how do you decide on what to do? And why is it important to you? I'm going to ask you that too, because that's probably the most important thing. Why is it important to you to find the time to do that?
I think it's really important to give back to the community. I like to do a lot with some of the local businesses and just kind of see them grow, because they also help me grow, and I learn from a lot of those other people that I work with. And again, for me, because I like the learning aspect of it, it's a great way for me to meet new people and see what they're doing and learn how I can help them. As far as picking what we get involved in, I really let everyone on my team dictate that to a certain extent. Okay. There are a few things that I'm passionate about, which is running and fitness. So you'll often see us out at local races, at CrossFit competitions, things like that, triathlons. I'm also passionate about working with the dog rescues, so we do a lot of events for the dog rescues. And then I have some people on my team that they're just interested in different things. So if they come to me and say, my daughter's playing on the softball team, I'm really passionate about it. Is this something that we could get involved with, or how can we help? And that's really one of the ways that we pick and choose what we get involved with.
And it seems like you've made it kind of a priority. Yep. It's not a second thought. It's like primary to what you're doing.
It is. It's something that's really important to me, and we try and, at least, if we're not volunteering, we're hosting events. Yeah. My ultimate goal is to have one once a month that our firm puts on. Right now, we probably do about 5 a year. So.
Okay. So what about for somebody out there who maybe doesn't own their own company?
Right.
They're really busy. Is there any tips? And I'm kind of going off the cuff here. I'm sure you can answer this though. But any tip that you can give someone to try to fit in, like giving back? Like what could they do? One little thing here or there if they're busy.
The first thing I would say is find something that you're passionate about. If you're at the gym already, can you volunteer there? Can you help them with any events that they have going on? If you're like me, you like animals, and I have 2 dogs, now I have 3 dogs. Can I help and take another one for a couple weeks while we're finding the dog a home? If you don't have time, you can always donate money. Yeah. So there are multiple options and ways to get involved.
Good advice. So I laughed a little on when you said now you have 3 dogs
Yes.
because you mentioned you foster dogs sometimes, but you have a really cute little puppy right now that you call a foster fail, which means you are keeping that foster puppy.
That is correct. So we fostered about 9 puppies this year. I think he was number 9. And we brought him into the house, and he fell in love with my dogs. He fell in love with my husband. My husband fell in love with him. So I just couldn't say no. So we did decide to keep him.
So maybe it was all meant to be. That's how I think of it. Maybe the foster family was not supposed to be a foster family. This was supposed to be his forever family.
Especially since I only took this dog knowing that I would have him for a 1-week period, so it was going to be a temporary foster. It was definitely meant to be.
Meant to be. All right, so I want to go back to kind of your career, and can you talk a little bit about, like, did you always know what you wanted to do? Like, how did you get on this career path, and how did it just take you from one step to the next?
Sure. I really didn't know that I wanted to be a lawyer. As a kid, I always wanted to be a doctor. My dad was a doctor, and I really liked seeing him do his work, and he was always really passionate about his patients and really caring. And so my entire life being interested in health and fitness, the medicine seemed to fit in. And when I was in college, I started out my major in health and exercise science, and then as I started taking these Spanish classes, I really fell in love with it. So it was unexpected. Certainly didn't think I would ever go that route. And my husband happened to be, he graduated a year ahead of me, and we were already engaged. He was in law school. I came to visit him, and I sat in on a mock trial class, and I fell in love with that. So I really liked being on stage. I liked getting to stand up there and argue. I found that it was something that I was surprisingly good at.
Right.
But, for me right now, I'm mostly doing a lot of the managing of the company and kind of running Jenkins Law and working on a couple other companies right now. So, you know, I've realized that I'm really passionate about growing a business and running a business. And that's something that I saw my parents do when I was a kid. My dad had his own business. My uncle had his own business. Right. My grandparents had their own business. And my grandmas, my mom were all really strong business women.
Yeah.
And so I learned quite a bit from them.
So then I want to ask you, so if there are women out there that are thinking about like starting their own business or running a business, what advice would you have for them, and what I guess what would be the most important thing they can do to kind of move that forward, that idea?
I would say the best thing you can do is to just do it. Don't wait. Don't overthink it. Just get out there. You'll make some mistakes. You can learn from them along the way. But if you don't get out there and take those steps, nothing will ever happen.
Right.
And there's such a great community, especially here. There's a great community of business women. Get involved in the local chamber any way you can, where you can see a lot of other people doing the same things.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think everywhere now, right? There's groups, whether it's entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs that are willing to help other people. I think we see more and more of that, like willingness to help others. So I want to go back before I ask you. I have a couple more questions, but I want to go back to the experiences just one more time, just because when I think of people living a bold life, like I said, you're doing so much, right? But the experience part, I think you're like, I want to be like super successful at figuring out how to manage that into your life and making it happen. Are there one or two like experiences that you've had that have really made a difference in your life? Like, not that it was just fun, but it kind of made a difference.
The first one was when I was living in Mexico. I became really good friends with my teacher at the time. She and I were about the same age, and she invited me to stay with her family in this small town in Mexico. And I remember to get to this town, we had to take a small bus out of the city, and then we got into a little van, and then her brother picked us up, drove us out the mountain. They didn't have running water. They didn't have electricity. No one spoke English. They called me mujer de leche because my skin was so pale. They've never seen anything like it before in their lives. And it was an absolutely incredible experience. We spent the weekend there, and one night we went out up in like the fields, and we had a bonfire, and they taught me some old Mexican folk songs, and I taught them how to make s'mores. So it was just amazing to see someone living such a different life than me, and how much they gave to me, and how much that changed my experience. It's why I always like to give back to other people. So that was one of the big ones that really stands out.
Right. That's amazing. I mean, people don't have that type of experience. I think it changes your whole life, it sounds like, and it really did in a positive way. So what is if you can say, I guess, what's your tip for living bold, right? So we have this, again, Project Bold Life is all helping people get to this point where they're living a bold life. What would be your tip to people to live a bold life?
I would say the best thing you can do is get outside your comfort zone. Okay. You can't be afraid to fail, and I honestly believe that, in fact, you can't fail. You might have an outcome. If it's not the outcome you want, just reevaluate your goals and figure out how to get to where you want to go. So definitely get outside your comfort zone and don't worry about failing, because you can't fail.
Well, you are definitely somebody who is living bold. I have loved being able to talk to you. I want to hear more about off camera, all your other experiences, but thank you so much, Kellyanne, for being here today and kind of for sharing your advice, whether it's on career or giving back and just how you live a bold life. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.